Good morning. Barry Bryson here, thanking you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. We continue our study of the prophet Zechariah. We're in chapter 9, the series of images of what's about to happen in the future as we look forward to the coming of the Messiah. Zechariah looks forward to the great day of the Lord, especially in this section. And for him, the great day of the Lord is the coming of the Messiah. We've already noticed how much it's like the book of Revelation, which looks forward not to the coming of the Messiah because he's already there. He is already our Messiah, already ruling, but looks forward to what's about to take place, Roman persecution and eventually the fall of Rome. And then only at the end do we look forward to the end of time. But this section looks forward to what's going to happen between the time of his readers and the coming of the Messiah, and then what that coming is going to be like. And we have a pretty specific, we've already had some really specific prophecies. We've learned about Jesus entering Jerusalem on a donkey's colt. We've learned that the Messiah's name is going to be Jesus. We've learned that Joshua. We've also learned that the Messiah is going to be simultaneously a priest and king. Today, like the book of Revelation, he's looking into the near future. He's looking into the time of their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. What's going to happen between his prophesying and the coming of the Messiah? And what's about to happen is that they're going to be conquered yet again. They're not going to be exported anymore. They're going to be conquered yet again, and they're going to have severe periods of persecution. And he talks about that in verses 11 through 17. So let's go ahead and read that. Chapter 9, verses 11 through 17, and then we'll talk about the specific history that's being referred to here. As for you also, because of the blood of my covenant with you, I have set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. Return to the stronghold, O prisoners who have the hope. This very day I am declaring that I will restore double to you. For I will bend Judah as my bow, and I will fill the bow with Ephraim. And I will stir up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece, and will make you like a warrior's sword. The Lord will appear over them. His arrow will go forth like lightning, and the Lord God will blow the trumpet and will march in the storm winds of the south. The Lord of hosts will defend them, and they will devour and trample on the sling stones, and they will drink and be boisterous as with wine, and they will be filled like a sacrificial basin, drenched like the corners of the altar. And the Lord their God will save them on that day, as the flocks of his people, for they are as the stones of a crown, sparkling in his hand. For what comeliness and beauty will be theirs! Grain will make the young men flourish, and new wine also the virgins. Okay, well, he talks about victory over the Greeks, and he's still using Persian and Babylonian military imagery. If you've been to the British Museum or you've been to one of the many museums in Istanbul or in the Middle East, and you've seen the stone carvings, the reliefs of military victory of the Babylonians, the Persians, you know what it looks like. The armored archers in chariots or on horseback. And that's what he's describing God as being. But the enemy here are the Greeks. Now, the Greeks are, as he is writing, and are about to be, the great enemies of the Persians. We've learned in school about the battle, of Thermopylae, the Battle of Marathon. We've learned about, Sparta and Athens standing against the invading Persians, and against great odds, turning back armies of hundreds of thousands. But this is not about Persia fighting Greece. This is about God's people fighting Greece, and this is about to happen in their near future, because Alexander the Great in the 320s is going to conquer this area. After he dies, this area will first be governed by his general Ptolemy and the Ptolemaic dynasty, and they will rule until the beginning of the 2nd century. So for about 130, 140 years, they're going to govern Palestine. And during that time, the Jews are pretty much left alone to be Jews. But The Seleucid dynasty, also a Greek dynasty, but ruling not from Egypt. Cleopatra, by the way, is a Ptolemy. Not ruling from Egypt, but ruling from Syria, are going to conquer Palestine, and they're going to try to eradicate Judaism. And that will produce the Maccabean Wars that you probably know a little bit about, and it is the source of the holiday Hanukkah. Daniel, in his prophecies at the end of his book, speaks quite specifically of this happening. And this is what is being referenced in this passage, that these guys are going to be defeated, not ultimately by Maccabeus, by Judas Maccabeus, Judas the Hammer and his family and their guerrilla force, but ultimately by Christianity, which will bring down the Roman Empire, which will go to the four corners of the earth. Specifically, though, how this is being described, I don't know. But I just love the image that we are the stones in the crown, that God's people are beautiful and are the stones in his crown. It's such a beautiful image. What comeliness and beauty will be theirs. You know, the young men are going to be fat on grain, and the virgins are going to be happy with new wine. New wine having little or no alcohol content, by the way. This is not about getting the virgins drunk. It's just this beautiful image of who we are to God because we belong to him. Okay, we'll begin with chapter 10 next time and the redemption of God's people. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.